Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Izzati binti Hafiz and my matrix numbers is S2072460 and I am the first presenter in this presentation. Now, in this presentation, we will be going to discuss regarding some of the results of Statistic business on KCL surveys on their customer. Now, KCL is the company that produce baby disposable diapers. Like normal business, KCL wanted to improve their business by conducting a survey. There are 30 respondents in this research, and based on the research, there are 14 variables that can be concluded, which is the first one, which is the number of the respondents, age in months of the baby, gender of the baby, the likely purchase, the overall quality, skin sensitivity, first baby, employed, brand, diaper size, age range, marital status, education, and household annual income. Now, in this video, we'll be covering background of the respondent itself, data and normality distribution, results of the non-parametric test, and the last part, which is the discussion and the conclusion for our overall research. In this section, which is the background of the respondent, firstly, we could cover the frequency and the distribution by demographic profile specifically for the mother. Mostly, they are from the sector of age less than 30 years old. That covers 86.67%, which is 26 respondents out of 30. Second variable would be the marital status. Now, based on this survey, there are 53.33% who is married and 43.33% who is single and 3.33% who is separated. Next, for the household income, it is dominated by a group between 25,000 ringgit until 15,000 ringgit, which is 46.67%. Followed by 36.67% that are less than 25,000 ringgit, and lastly 16.7% with an annual income per year which is 50,000 ringgit. Now, education. Most of these mothers are 70% are a college and diploma holder. 16.67% is a degree holder and 13.33% from secondary. Now, in the variable of employed, there are 50% who is not employed, 26.67% work as a part-time, and 23.33% who works as a full-time. Lastly, the variable of the age of the baby in this category, it is dominated by the age between 18 until 13 months, which is 33.33%, and 26.67% for the age between 2 until 9 months, and both for the age 10 until 12 months and the age between 13 until 17 months has 20% from the survey. That's all for the background of the respondent.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Ilana binti Muhammad Najib El Zakaria, student ID U2003393. The normal probability plot shows that the data is not normally distributed. This is due to the distribution at the end tail, which is in the shape of an S, and is commonly the case with non-normal distribution. Drawing the conclusion from the normal probability plot, the data collected are confirmed to be normally distributed. In order to test the mean age of the baby in months is the same across gender, analysis of variance, a novel one-way method is used. The procedures described below. The hypotheses formed prior to conducting the test are as follows. The null hypothesis, all means are equal. The alternative hypothesis, not all means are equal. The raw data extracted from the dataset and sorted according to gender. The age then sorted in ascending order to recognize the pattern easier. The next step is calculating the total variation SST by calculating both among group variation SSA and within group variation SSW. The result of the calculation are as follows. The level of significance appropriate for this test is 5% or 0.05. The results, interpretation, and decision are as follows. So the F test was 1.9101, which is less than the F critical, which is 4.1960. So when the F test is smaller than the F critical, the null hypothesis is not rejected. There is no sufficient evidence to suggest that there is any difference in the mean of the age of babies across gender. The three assumptions about the data to use ANOVA F test are also fulfilled in this test. The first one, randomness and independence of the data are assumed when the data is collected from various backgrounds, including household income, education, and marital status. The second one, the normality of the data is proven in the answer to question part A, part B. The third one, the homogeneity assumption of variance is fulfilled by using the Lavin test method. The null hypothesis is not rejected because there is no sufficient evidence to suggest that the variance of the two groups are different. The decision is where the F test is 0.36631, lower than the F critical, which is 4.1960.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Dr. Muzawana. I am Nur Shafika Izzati binti Razani, the third presenter in this video, and I am going to explain on the result of non-parametric tests. In this survey, we already conduct 3 tests, which is 2 consists of chi-square test, 1 Mann-Whitney-U test, and 1 Kruskal-Wallis test. And on the first non-parametric test, which is chi-square test. So based on the survey, the null hypothesis is education and marital status are independent, and the alternative hypothesis is education and marital status are dependent. The value in the tables is directly from the data of the survey. After conducting the test, we get the chi-square value at 1.3630. The significant level was set at alpha 0.05, and the critical value is 12.592 with 6 degrees of freedom. The decision rule for chi-square test is if the chi-square statistic is larger than the critical value, the null hypothesis is going to be rejected. Since our chi-square value is lesser than the critical value, we do not reject the null hypothesis. There is insufficient evidence that education and marital status are dependent at alpha 0.05. And in this survey, we get 0.9681 for p-value. The next chi-square test is performed between sensitivity of baby skin and diaper size. So the null hypothesis is sensitivity of baby skin and diaper size are independent, and the alternative hypothesis is sensitivity of baby skin and diaper size are dependent. After conducting the test, we get the chi-square value at 2.7937, and the significant level was set at alpha 0.05. The critical value is 16.919 with 9 degrees of freedom. Recapping from the previous test, the decision rule is if the chi-square statistic is larger than the critical value, the null hypothesis is going to be rejected. Since our chi-square value is lesser than the critical value, we do not reject the null hypothesis. There is insufficient evidence that sensitivity of baby skin and diaper size are dependent at alpha 0.05, and in this test, we get 0.9719 for the p-value. The second non-parametric test is Mann-Whitney-U test. The null hypothesis is median of employed is same as the median of gender of baby, and the alternative hypothesis is median of employed is larger than the median of gender of baby. The sample size for employed and gender of baby is same, which is 30. For employed, the sum of ranks is 1147.5, while for the gender of baby is 682.5. Before conducting the test, we need to find out the Mann-Whitney-U statistic. So as stated in the table, U test for employed is 217.5 and 682.5 for the gender of baby. Since this survey involves large sample size, which is more than 10, we are going to use Z test. After conducting it, we get Z value at negative 3.4374. The significant level was set at alpha 0.05. We compare it to the Z table, and the critical value is negative 1.64. If the Z statistic is larger than the critical value, the null hypothesis is not be rejected. Since our Z value is less than the critical value, we reject the null hypothesis. The p-value, which is 0.000294, is lesser than the significant level. Thus, there is sufficient evidence the median of employee is larger than the median of gender of baby, and alpha 0.05. The last non-parametric test for this survey is Kruskal-Wallis test. The null hypothesis is median of age range is same with the median of household income and median of first baby, while the alternative hypothesis is not all population median are equal. The sample size for each population is same, which is 30. For age range, the sum of ranks is 1025, 1747.5 for household income, and 1322.5 for the first baby. For Kruskal-Wallis test, we need to compute the H test. So we get 12.8797 for H test. The significant level was set at alpha 0.05 and the degrees of freedom is 2. Thus, we obtain 5.991 for the critical value. The decision rule for this test is if H statistic is larger than the critical value, the null hypothesis is going to be rejected. So we're going to reject the null hypothesis for this test. We can conclude that there is sufficient evidence to reject the population median are all equal at alpha 0.05, and in this test, we get 0.0016 for the p-value. Different ways illustrated in this case study can give a clear understanding on the consumer behaviors and information about the KCL's customers. The results that have been done and obtained hopefully may help the KCL's management to devise further strategies to maintain their performance. That's all from us. Thank you for teaching us and spending your time watching this video.